Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Round Table. I am your host, Clement Ogaro, and tonight we will attempt to advance our economy through entrepreneurship. In studio with me are Crisenda McCoy, owner of Bloom Cupcakes, Telly Uno, Managing Director, Quintessence Consulting, Rodney Brown, CEO, eCaribbean Limited, and Sybil Welch, ECCB advisor. And Sybil, of course, is no stranger to our studio. So happy to have you guys with me tonight. Ask anyone who's started a successful business, and they'll likely tell you that it's both the most fulfilling and the most stressful thing that they've ever done. Of course, we will find out more after we take a break and hear from our friends at the Brimstone Health Society. We'll be right back.
Explore the history of St. Kitts with a visit to the Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park. This 42-acre complex of fortifications has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Upon entering the fortress, you can choose to visit the gift shop and orientation center, where you can purchase unique, high-quality items at duty-free prices. Or you can look in on the Fort George Museum, which boasts a collection of military and other exhibits unrivaled in the Eastern Caribbean. The breathtaking view of Brimstone Hill includes the mountain range and a view of several other islands on a clear day and of the sandy point bay that the fortress once defended. Visit us and really experience the history of St. Kitts. This venue will also lend an indescribable ambience to your wedding or banquet.
Want to get the latest news and information on demand? Check out zizonline.com. Our website is updated daily to bring you all the latest local, regional, and international news. Gone abroad and miss home? Check out zizonline.com for our live streams and uploaded local content. We're also on Facebook. Like our page and receive photos, info, and updates directly on your newsfeed. Living on the go? Then our new mobile website can work for you. Visit zizonline.com and get all the information you need on your phone's browser. zizonline.com, reaching you wherever you are.
Welcome back to the round table for tonight. We're back on our regular night. Last week we went on Tuesday night, of course, because the Sugar Boys played against Turks and Caicos in St. Kitts and defeated them 6-2 here and also 6-2 in Turks and Caicos. So congratulations to our team. That's Team St. Kitts, the Sugar Boys. St. Kitts Nevis, that is. Tonight, as I said, we're going to discuss entrepreneurship, and we have some young entrepreneurs in the studio with us, and we're going to try to find how these guys are helping to move our economy forward. So what I'm going to do now is to give each an opportunity to tell us what type of business they're in, and maybe some of the things that got them to where they are today. We're going to start on my left with Telly Uno. Welcome again.
Thank you, Mr. Ogaro. I'm Telly Uno. I am the CEO, Managing Director of Quintessence Consulting, Inc. This is a strategy and consulting firm that started probably about 15 years now. It started off in, as a sole proprietor myself, around 2000 or so. I started off in St. Vincent. I have it registered in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as recently incorporated in St. Kitts for about 2 years now. We focus on helping businesses on a whole, both small and large, transform and innovate and navigate this 21st century. There are a lot of new changes in the environment right now, and a lot of businesses need to transform their system. So we focus on not just on their business models and assisting them with business modeling reengineering, business reengineering. We also assist them in addressing operational efficiencies, especially for those businesses who already, have been in business for a while, and assist with business transformation. So a lot of times we would incorporate information communication technologies in it, as well as new ways of thinking, new models to re-engineer their practices.
So you can tell me how to take my brother's shop in Boyd's from a little shop on the corner to a supermarket.
Growth strategies as well.
Okay, well, I'm sure we're going to get into some of that a little bit later, but go ahead. It sounded like you wanted to add something.
We're currently the hub, at least for St. Kitts and Nevis, for the Caribbean Climate Innovation Center, which is a new regional initiative, but supporting small, medium businesses in the area of climate innovation. This is ranging from agribusiness to persons who are artisans and use natural fibers for their products. We also support and give business advisory and mentorship to businesses who are also in the area of like renewable energy, energy efficiency, or just those who are more into the environment as well.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, sounds like a whole lot that's going on there. I'm sure we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it tonight. So we're going to move over to Chrysanda. If you're out there and we're looking sweet or smelling sweet, it's because we have Bloom Cupcakes in the house.
Tell us
about your idea of, making sure that we get our sweet on sometimes.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Chrysanda McCoy, and I'm the owner of Bloom Cupcakes, as many of you know. We started sometime around January in 2014. Right around Valentine's Day is when we really pushed our cupcakes. We basically make cupcake bouquets. That's something the people of St. Kitts and Nevis has never seen before. We do custom work, so when you see our cupcakes, Bloom made them. Anything you want, we do. I'm basically the baker, the accountant. I do everything. I take all the orders, I manage my finances, and I bake. So it's just me, and so that's what we do at Bloom Cupcakes. Anything. We try to aim for cupcakes that most have never seen before. So we try to go away from all the traditional cupcakes with sprinkles. We try to be creative, and that's what we are.
Okay, sound like a one-woman show. I think I got that right. Yes. And my good friend Rodney here, been around for quite a while. I mean, you kind of an innovator as it comes to internet, social media, and all that stuff. But maybe there's more that we really don't know. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell us about that.
Thanks again, Agaro. Good evening to all fellow panelists. Rodney Brown, Managing Director of eCaribbean Limited. eCaribbean is essentially a web solutions company. Our core business is website development primarily. So we've developed a number of websites in our 10-year, this year is our 10th year. And over those 10 years, we've developed just over 200 websites. A number of them government-related, as well as private sector, of course. We also provide brand development services in terms of consultancy, business card design, general graphic design, brochures, etc. So, we may have Bloom as a potential client. You never know. But we take, with the small, medium, large businesses, we provide them with the essentials as it relates to web solutions. There are numerous facets to the web business, not just website development, website design. There's marketing as well involved, online marketing, social media marketing. So we cover all those different areas as it relates to web services. I'll just keep it short and sweet for now.
All right, good. And so thank you very much, Rodney. We're going to go now to Sybil. Sybil, of course, is the ECCB advisor. Yeah. I think advisor is a bigger title than director.
Having too many sweets coming out of Bloom Cupcakes.
And I want to say thanks again to Sybil for assisting us with putting this panel together. I think this is critical, as you know, our country is in a phase where we're getting ready, I'm sure, to take off at any time and, you know, concretize exactly where we are in the globalized economy. So, Sybil, you at ECCB see this, of course, from a different perspective. That's what we want to hear from you.
Well, good evening again, and thanks, Agaro. What we are looking for is really to have a conversation on how do we move our economy forward. We know that entrepreneurship is very critical to economic growth and development. And we have several entrepreneurs across the region. In St. Kitts, we can name quite a number of entrepreneurs. And we have several institutions across the region. I think we counted over 40 institutions that really help to support entrepreneurship development. Yet, in spite of all of these, and in spite of the numerous schools and colleges, we still see that we're not where we need to be in terms of our economic growth and development. We're not rebounding as fast as we should coming out of the economic downturn. And therefore, there's a need to really rethink and go back to the drawing table, as you may, to push entrepreneurship development in a more strategic manner so that we can really leverage the benefits. Because when we think of the slowdown of our economies and we think of rising unemployment, particularly among the youth, it means that we have to relook what we are thinking about entrepreneurship. And so what we really want to look at is, from my perspective, is what really is the environment to nurture entrepreneurship. Because if we're having all of these teaching sessions, the ECCB has been a partner in the development of entrepreneurship. We started in 2003 launching several courses, and we count over 3,000 persons across the region. But what we recognize is information is not enough, and knowledge will not give us the growth unless it's put in action. We also recognize that teaching entrepreneurship is a broader ecosystem called culture. It's really a mindset shift. We have to move persons. When you think about entrepreneurship, you need to make sure that persons understand that they're going to be entrepreneurs. And this is not just for persons who have their own business, but even persons who are what I call intrapreneurs, working for persons, that they really have to be able to think independently and act independently, act on their own. They can't just wait for somebody to do something for them. This requires a cultural shift, because in our culture, we tend not to think independently after we get to a certain age, and we tend not to want to take action.
I wonder what age is that?
So it really requires that mentorship. And so from our perspective, it's really looking at the culture. What is in our culture that is not spurring entrepreneurship as it should, and translating that in the growth that we know it can deliver, but is currently not delivering. And so that's really where we want to look at what is required from all of us as stakeholders as part of this economy, and where can we rethink and retool our strategies to move further ahead at a more dynamic and leapfrog pace.
All right, thank you very much for that. Of course, we know I should say great ideas don't always guarantee success. Most entrepreneurs are failing because they just can't execute a brilliant strategy, a word that you use. Even with funds, people still fail because they, revel in poor execution. Yeah. How do you know that you have the right strategy? I'm going to go to Telly with this question.
Well, First of all, I mean, just leading on to what Sybil indicated, it starts with culture and it really starts with the mindset. That's where it starts, every individual and their mindset. For you to be strategic, you have to be open-minded, be willing to see things differently, be willing to accept different styles, different models, and at least assess them for what they are. You need to be able to be analytical, meaning whatever is presented, you ask a question, you find out what other way can you do something? Why is it this way? You have to be curious. In our region, we should say fast. You must say a little bit fast. Yes. So your curiosity it would get you to start investigating what the opportunity, investigating why are people drinking this water? What motivates them? And I think a lot of times we don't take the time to really investigate why we do things. We just assume a lot of things and then we move ahead. So that's one aspect of being strategic. To be strategic, you must be analytical. You must start looking at things and observing every single thing around you, every single thing about the business, every single thing about the customer. And that's another thing. We tend in the region, in the whole region, to be more product oriented. So we don't really think about who's consuming whatever service or whatever product is. If we have an idea, we like to create a particular product, so we push it. It doesn't necessarily mean that they really want it. You can get some, you can push it, you can sell things to people, but that doesn't mean they're coming back to you for more. So having a clear understanding of who your target customer is, what they like, a persona. Like, okay, Rodney is middle-aged and he likes to get up 6 o'clock in the morning. The first thing he does is...
Middle-aged. Okay.
First thing he does is he wakes up, he washes his face because he's a little groggy, and then the second thing he does, he likes to get a glass of water, and then after the glass of water, he likes a little bit of lemonade in it so it gets his day started. So my lady over there with her business might decide, she needs to create a little product for Rodney in the morning because he likes a little kickstart. So maybe Rodney is into that herbal type of thing. So maybe a kind of bush tea or a bush tea cupcake might also get him started. But then it starts from that process of knowing who the profile of your customer profile, right down to the T. And you can create scenarios for 3-4 different type of people so that you know exactly intimately how to address their needs. And also not just that, because everyone needs change. So you have to be able to anticipate future needs as well. Or look at the trends and see how the trends are changing their choices. So being strategic means you have to be on the ball and you have to be what we call in touch very intimately with that business environment, understanding what the trends are in your field, understanding what the customer trends are, and being able to see how best you can actually create, because business is not static, and that's another thing that affects a lot of businesses here. We set up business, we get comfortable, it's working well, but guess what? The environment is changing, but we are not changing, or the business model is not changing. So being on top of it all is being strategic. Then you can come up with new strategies to satisfy a particular need, or if you see a particular trend, say, for example, more Rodneys out there who like to have lemon in the morning and like to have a little ginger tea and maybe still love their mother's bush tea. Okay, so we need to package some teas for Rodney and them. And probably if you're into soap, you might want to then incorporate soaps. And also looking at the marketplace and seeing what else is coming in. We do import a lot of things, but no one really takes the time to really notice the fact that our tastes are changing, our tastes are evolving, and being on top of it will allow you to at least start coming up with particular strategies, which are roadmaps to address a particular situation. Just problem solving, really.
All right, thank you very much. And Randy, I'm going to go to you. I mean, 10 years ago when you started, I mean, you would there was no question about going into, building websites and all the other components that go along with it. But I don't think that it was that easy.
No, I mean, for my personal story as it relates to eCaribbean, we started with like one laptop. Mm-hmm. One laptop, one desk, one chair, two of us. So it was an interesting start, to say the least. But I had absolutely no concern, per se, about failure. Wasn't even part of my thought process. I was just anxious for the opportunity to show, or at least make an attempt to see what I could do. And what my impact could be within the marketplace. Because today, web, as we know it, is a very, very, very competitive marketplace, extremely competitive. Back then, not so much. But as we become more interconnected, so too we have business, competition, etc. that is more interconnected. So our competitors are worldwide. You can have anybody from anywhere proposing to provide some sort of web solution. Mm-hmm. So we have to now be as agile as possible, as strategic as possible in terms of how we implement. As Telly was mentioning, one of the key things in terms of being strategic, I always ask businesses when we deal with them, the first thing I ask is, who is your market? Because your business is about the market primarily. You're not selling to yourself. So who is the market? Who are you selling to? Who do you intend to sell to? And then what is the message? So you have the market, now you have to figure out what the message is. What do you want to communicate to them? Because more than likely you're not going to be the only one in the space. So how does your message differ from your competitors? Will it stand out? Will it connect emotionally or otherwise with your market? And then finally, what method or methods are you going to use to get the message out? Because you have to be able to figure out the most efficient and effective way to connect with your market. So these are some of the strategic things that you try to figure out, especially when you're a small business, when you're an entrepreneur. You may not have the financial backing, you may not have the resources you need at the time. So you have to be as strategic as possible in how you execute. There's going to be failure along the way, but you can't allow the failure to deter you from continuing the process. You use it as an opportunity to learn as much as possible and try to minimize the impact of any failures. And like I said, move forward.
All right, thanks again for that. So, Christina, we're going to go back to you. We're talking about concept, and I think in your opening salvo, you did, mention some of the stuff that you do that's different to what we're accustomed to when it comes to, cupcake. How did you know? Or if you don't know, how would you know that you had a good idea and that it was going to work for you?
I didn't know, however. That's an impediment. We all fear the unknown, I'm a very creative person. I'm artsy, so I'm always looking for something that's different. It's just in my personality, right? So when I started, I like to eat also, I should add that. I like to eat. So I'm always buying donuts, cake, and I was like, I could do something with this to spice it up. I'm going to admit I always critique people's work. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I can do this better, right? So that's why I started with the cupcake bouquet. I don't know if you've ever seen one, but it actually looks like flowers, right? So when I go and I deliver to people, they're actually like, oh, thank you. And then they smell it, and they're like, oh, they're cupcakes, And I just love that. So I just love to do different stuff. It's just in my personality. I, up until this day, never thought about failure, to be honest, because that's just how I am. I'm very self-confident. So I never actually thought I'm going to fail. Everyone has a birthday. So I know going into case can never really fail. You're going to have competition, of course, but that's something that's always going to be on the upside. That's really it.
Okay. And Sybil, how do you, at ECCB, how do you find some of the people that we're working with, and some of the folks here tonight? And why is it important for the ECCB to contribute in this way? As they look at not only just the big businesses who, they contribute to GDP, but also, branching out into, tinier parts. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think it's all part of our core mandate. When you think about it, the ECCB is charged with two major areas. One of that area is maintaining the stability of the EC currency. That's money. The other area is maintaining the stability of the financial system as a regulator and supervisor. Now, the core through this is stability and money. And so out of that becomes productivity. Because if you're going to maintain a stable currency and you're going to maintain a stable financial system, then productivity is at the basis of that. What is going on in the real sector, the economic drivers? That's really that you can't dissociate our stability objectives with the economic development that feeds into that. And so that's really at the crux of our raison d'etre, as they would say, our reason for existing. And that's why we are always involved in what is going on in the economy, what role can we play, whether it's an advocacy role, whether it's a support, a building of the infrastructure, a framework aspect of that. And that's really what this is about. Because if we go back to what really are the drivers of economic growth, you're really looking at four main drivers. You're looking at the private sector investing. They have to spend on building up their plants. That's their capital expenditure. And when they spend, they create jobs. And that jobs generate an income from someone, and that income the person then use it to do things with. And so you get now that's the private sector that's driving economic growth. And then you have the individual, the consumer. Because if households have jobs, then households are going to spend, and that creates more jobs. That's economic activity. That contributes to growth, right? And then you're going to look at, outside of that, we are going to have us being net exporters. So while we import, what are we exporting to create money coming in? And then, of course, you have government spending. So if you think about those, government is spending, you have private sector investments, you have consumer household expenditure, and you have your net exports. Those create activity, and that creates what I call the small word for economic growth, which is jobs. So you're looking at the stability of the financial sector and the stability of the EC currency goes back to what's going on in the real sector to create productive activity to generate jobs. And that's really where we stand. Now, in looking at what we are doing in our developmental role, all of the persons that you see here are partners in one sense or the other. I just got introduced to Chrysanda through The Visitor. In January, they have a lovely article about 5 entrepreneurs under 35. I had heard about her business a few weeks ago and didn't get a chance yet to tell her that there are plans that we want to use her business in a strategic manner in our engagement with our stakeholders. But also it's really of trying to find persons in all our respective countries to be role models, to show persons, because remember we spoke about the whole culture. And we need our people to be able to see persons who are either full-time or part-time, in a full-time job being an entrepreneur or in a part-time job being an entrepreneur. And so that's important. That is part of our learning. It's not that you go to school and you learn business and then you become that way. It doesn't mean that you become passionate. You heard her saying she just went in That's what I call, Nike has this ad, just do it. I call the persons with entrepreneurship personality, the do-it personality. You just do it. You're decisive. You're determined. You're just going to go. You're open-minded. You just have to do it. And so it's that do-it persona that is really going to drive progress and activity, and that's what we're looking for.
But how do you prevent someone from, putting failure at the foremost part of their brain? How do you, at ECCB, how do you prevent that from happening? Because I'm thinking that there are probably a lot of people out there who, interested, and maybe have great creative ideas as well, but the thought of failure.
Well, that's why I'm going back to the culture, because ECCB by itself cannot prevent or cannot make persons think entrepreneurial. It has to go back to the culture. Think about it. Everything that we do, that we touch, we call it these touch points in our lives. We go to school, we go to church, we're at home, in our play, in our neighborhoods. All of these things, I saw this quote, determining our culture. I picked up a quote on culture, and it says, what is culture? The collective programming of the human mind that distinguishes the members of one human group from those of another. And that really, think about it as a programmer.
Programming sounds like a very interesting
Think about it,
word.
you're programming our minds.
You wouldn't think about it like that.
And guess what? We program our persons to our society, we collectively, that there is something wrong with failure. And nothing is wrong with failure. I think Henry Ford put it best. He says, failure is the chance to do something again, but this time more intelligently. So failure is a developmental tool. It's a learning tool. So what we're asking society to do, listen, if we want to create passionate, driven, successful persons with ideas and that they have this do-it personality, then our media is responsible as part of shaping that. Our governments are responsible. Our parents, our nurturers, our guardians, our school is responsible. I just want to touch a little issue. Going downtown in January, I heard a young guy, he says, all them cutting grass, with all of these intelligent people in this country, is there something else that I can add to this to create something? I came back to the office and I was talking to my colleagues and I said, you know what, we need to find a way to bring this into the course, our entrepreneurship course, and look at an industry for grass. So I went online and I'm Googling grass cutting machine. And I go, I get, I'm going beyond landscaping. I'm saying, what do we have in abundant supply? Grass. After we cut the grass, what do? Have to find somewhere to dump it.
Correct.
What if we were
burn it?
Or burn it.
Yes.
Now, what if we were to grind it up? And it becomes natural fertilizer. So you see, I'm searching. What if we were to grind it up and it becomes mulch? And I go to TDC. Telly spoke about the imports. And when you look at the trade imports, we import millions of dollars. That's millions of dollars that we're not investing as jobs. We're investing in jobs for other people. So I go by TDC and I see all these bags of this bag for $40 and this bag for $30. And one is soil, one is bagasse, one is a mulching thing, one is grass bits. And I'm saying, you see this country is full of grass? We need to have an industry of grass. And then Jessa Gatsby sends me an email telling me, what about doing this thing with seagrass weed? And I send them back and say, fools seldom differ because we're just talking about cutting up grass, But I'm just saying, here's where entrepreneurs, and this is the culture, our culture must stop seeing problems as problems and see problems as a challenge to find opportunities in the solution. And if we do that, could you imagine now, I am now moved from cutting grass only to seeing an industry with layers of different persons in that industry. And then I say, well, listen, I don't even just supply these for St. Kitts and Nevis, I'm now exporting. And that creates an industry, that creates employment, that creates foreign exchange if we're exporting. That goes back to the ECCB stability objectives.
And it's organic grass.
And it's organic grass. And then it goes into...
And it helps the economy as well,
too. The tourism product about beautification and organic. and Telly spoke about her agricultural stuff. Can I enter the competition? Can I enter the competition? But
get support.
I am just showing that it's really a conversation of so many persons. And when the guy spoke, he challenged my mind, because I'm saying he's right. If you look at per capita, I'm sure in the OECS we have so many people educated with all sorts of experiences, but are we putting those to bear to challenge ourselves, to push further, to go beyond what we're seeing and really address our economic challenges?
Go ahead, Rodney. And you guys, and you can do like Rodney. You can, step in at any time. That's what it is. It's a conversation.
In terms of, because that's what you did, you conducted research to figure out what possible solutions may be available, which thankfully just about anybody could do now with a smartphone.
Yeah.
You just have to know. But in terms of that idea, because a lot of times you have young, vibrant individuals have ideas, but then they present it to a number of potential whomever who could, whether backers or whatever, but the idea seems so far out, it just doesn't get the support. So, by the way, you have to almost, and this is, as an entrepreneur, the first 100 no's can't, if you believe in it, you just keep reassessing. But don't allow a no to mean the death of your idea or your business concept. It may just mean that you need to go about it a slightly different way, but 100 no's doesn't equal to a definite failure. As it relates to your question about how do we change the culture, we have to have stories. I'm sure there are a number of businesses in the region, locally, that have become successful but didn't have pure success all the way through. We have to have those stories told where people understand, because they might only see the success. They say, that guy is successful all the time. But they don't know about the startup, the failures you encounter throughout the whole lifespan of the business. So we need to get those failure messages out there, those failure stories that eventually emerge into success, so people understand that it's okay. It's okay to fail. Once you learn something, once the lesson is derived from that failure, and you, as Sybil again mentioned earlier, you can apply yourself effectively as a result of learning from the failure.
Correct. And once your failure is not fatal, I think that,
right.
I mean, you can always move on. Go ahead,
Rodney touches on a thing that really a lot of, should I say, people who are in business, because we have to recognize that we have a lot of business people, but we don't have that many entrepreneurs. And
what's the difference?
There is a difference, because
we're
we're doing people. You have different persons get into business for various reasons. Some of it is just opportunity because of life. Things are hard, and you just end up wanting to sell something. But you never really focused on it as an opportunity. You didn't focus on growing it. You didn't focus on, the customers. It just happened. People come, fine, things are good. 10 years later, 15 years later, everybody doing the same thing you're doing. Everyone's selling oranges around the street corner, right? Because they saw,
selling food on the streets of
Subway was successful. Selling food on the street. Okay, no way, selling food, but everybody doing it the same way.
I know.
Not to say you can't all be there, but everyone does it the same way because it's just a copycat. Okay, well, Sybil was successful. She did it. I'm going to do it too. And then after a while, 10 years, when the market is saturated, everybody start grumbling and say things hard, because everybody's doing the same thing, and people are like, oh no, I'm not going over here because someone's open out round, down over Figure Bay or down the road over there, and I'm going over there. But no one's noticed that other person probably just added a few little things to make it comfortable, maybe a little tent because sun hot. And people don't like to stand up in the line. Something like that.
Wi-Fi.
Internet, because everyone has a mobile device and so on. Yes. So little things like that actually set you apart. And also part of that customer delivery, customer service, probably it's even one person's personality that just attracts everyone to it. So a lot of times it's that you set up as a business, and then you start experiencing challenges and people would complain. But the fact about it is just knowing how to just sit back, do the research, because the research is very important, to start to see how you can set yourself apart. Because I think that's the biggest difference. Entrepreneurs tend to want to, they're creative, just like Chris Sanders said, want to set themselves apart each time and always keep ahead at that. For me, one key big strategy is really focusing on what I call the blue ocean. There's a famous literature around blue ocean, red ocean strategy. The red ocean is what everybody's in. The example I gave is we started a food business and everybody is doing the same food business the same way. So it's a cutthroat market, it's saturated, competition is fierce. You know, it gets to the point when tourists coming, you're dragging them over by your corner. But no, you don't want to get into that. You want to carve out a niche where you're the only one there. You might have something that looks like everything else, but you've created and you've added unique things that make you uniquely different. So you're not really competing. Why would you want to compete? You're in your own ocean. It's blue. Over there have the sharks biting up and piranha biting up. I don't know, not in the piranha.
So the blue ocean is where you need to go.
The blue ocean.
Anyway, when we come back, you mentioned customer service. That's key. I think that's yes. I think that's one of the the areas as well that falls within entrepreneurship and also the state of the economy. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna hear from our friends at Brimstone Hill Society. We're gonna talk about how do we relate to our customers, and the big question is, yes, it all sounds good. Let me get into my own business and do all this creative stuff, but where do I get the money from? We'll be right back.
Explore the history of St. Kitts with a visit to the Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park. This 42-acre complex of fortifications has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Upon entering the fortress, you can choose to visit the gift shop and orientation center, where you can purchase unique, high-quality items at duty-free prices. Or you can look in on the Fort George Museum, which boasts a collection of military and other exhibits unrivaled in the Eastern Caribbean. The breathtaking view of Brimstone Hill includes the mountain range and a view of several other islands on a clear day, and of the sandy point bay that the fortress once defended. Visit us and really experience the history of St. Kitts. This venue will also lend an indescribable ambience to your wedding or banquet.
Want to get the latest news and information on demand? Check out zizonline.com. Our website is updated daily to bring you all the latest local, regional, and international news. Gone abroad and miss home? Check out zizonline.com for our live streams and uploaded local content. We're also on Facebook. Like our page and receive photos, info, and updates directly on your newsfeed. Living on the go? Then our new mobile website can work for you. Visit zizonline.com and get all the information you need on your phone's browser. zizonline.com, reaching you wherever you are.
All right, welcome back, and you caught us rapping about the monkey business here. I'm telling you, yeah, and that's all part of the entrepreneurship as well. We see these guys on Port Zante plying their trade, and I hope that they're listening tonight so that they can get some ideas to not only be strategic but be more creative in what they're presenting. So back to the money. Unless you're starting a non-profit, most entrepreneurs are hoping to be profitable. Is there a way to guarantee that your business will be successful, will be profitable? And where do you get the money to start? Where do you get the money to start this business? No, not you, Sybil. We want to hear from these guys. We know where you get your money from, right? Okay, Chrysanda, we're gonna go to you.
Okay. First of all, the banks. You can get a business loan. However, that's sort of difficult in these times because the banks need a business license. They need a plan. If you're already in the business, they're gonna need some sort of accounting trail. You know, for someone young, that kind of seems a bit scary because for the business license, you also need money.
Correct.
Right? So maybe we can even look at a way to lower the rates for new business people. Or there's always the good old family and friends. You know, you go with a plan, with a mindset that this is a business. You don't go all friendly like, hi, uncle, I want to start a business. Can you invest $500? You know, you do the whole big bang. You go with your paper. You know, I'm very serious about this, and you can take that route. I mean, so it has its ifs and buts, but it's not something that you should be afraid of. Like, I wouldn't say financing, it is an impediment, but it's not. It's also a motivator, I would say, right? So I don't think that it should be something that persons don't want to. I don't want to own my own business because I don't have any money. There are ways to get around that, and everyone should explore that. I've told you, there are family and friends, you go to the bank, different stuff. So it's not something you should be scared about, really.
Okay. Rather than the money, I mean, people may say, you know what, hey, the internet business is big business, so money shouldn't be a problem for you.
Wow. I like to speak to that person. Money, I mean, money is always an issue in terms of when you're looking to grow your business and facilitate certain infrastructure around the business. From my personal standpoint, we needed PCs as we grew our staff. We needed more ad material, training, etc. A whole slew of things that would need financing to get done properly. So we had to, in some parts, we were fortunate to get some funding from a financial institution, not as much as we would have liked, but we were able to get some portion of that. So there's always financial institutions. But as Cassandra mentioned, the family and friends thing, because one of the things that especially young persons have to understand that business is all about relationships. In my opinion, it comes down to that one thing, relationships. Relationships with your customers, relationships with your staff, relationships with your competitors. The whole thing is built on relationships.
Yeah.
So even
with your
before
competitors, but it depends on what type of relationship.
Well, that is it. And you decide what kind of relationship you want to establish and nurture.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be, again, we talk about blue ocean, red ocean. You decide which ocean you want to be.
It doesn't always have to be.
Yeah, sometimes the competitors don't see eye to eye with it.
Being red, you know you're
exactly.
Hey,
So you decide how you want to approach it. But for young persons, you always have to think, again, strategically. If you're tapping in, relationships mean that you have a network. So see how you have your network. Who can you tap in your network to support your business idea? I had an idea back when Facebook was pretty successful with these Facebook apps. Very good, it was a Facebook app. So I had an idea for a Facebook app. I knew this was not something I could go to a bank. I don't know any bank, I think it's an Evis anyway, that would be prepared to finance some kind of Facebook app concept.
I mean, 10 years ago?
Yeah, roughly, maybe 7 years ago.
Yes.
About. And I said, well, I wasn't even going to go that route. I came up with a list of 10 persons in my network who I figured would be able to understand where I was coming from with this concept. Develop a basic business plan, establish the potential, establish the risks, so everything was straightforward. Because I think it's always important to outline the risks involved. You don't want to paint a picture like it's all going to be great. You have to be realistic about it. So I went through this network and I was able to get essentially the financing I needed. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was money that I needed in lump sum to get this development finance. So there's always, if you think creatively, there's almost always a way. It's not going to be easy. It may not work out the way you intended to, but if you keep looking and keep thinking about ways in which you can go around the established financing model, you may be able to get the financing you seek without having to go to a bank. I'm sure Sybil knows of a few options that we can consider.
In terms of
Set me up, don't set me up.
For me, I would say, added to what Rodney said, relationships are key. Definitely. You can't do business without relationships. So for me, I'll start from the beginning and start from the competencies that you need in order to access the financing. The first competency is communication. If you cannot communicate effectively and efficiently, then chances of you raising anything is null and void. Because you can't build a relationship. You can't target other networks. You can't even communicate with your own family because they wouldn't even, believe what it is. You can't sell to them. So one of the biggest investments you can do is investing in yourself on how to be a better, more efficient and effective communicator, both orally
and boy, do we need effective communicators.
And written, and knowing how to do presentations, right? And then leading from that, the importance of networking cannot be understated. You must be able to network. So if you have challenges in even building your own personal relationships, even relationships with family at home, then that's something also from a personal development standpoint one needs to work on.
How do you translate that downwards, though? And I don't know if downwards is the correct word. What I'm saying is that, you go to these fancy, looking establishments or providers of services, and
you mean like the banks? Okay, financial
but
institutions.
they and you get such bad customer service. So, how do you? I don't know. I don't know. It's very. I don't know why I keep going back to the same places, but I guess
maybe the first stance is really. They're not your first protocol. I think we've said it already. It's friends, family, yourself. You need to bootstrap. And you build your competencies so that when you get there, you can better deliver. Because as Chrisanda said, they'll want to see a track record. They don't know you. Now, one way of doing that is also strategically making sure when you start your business, you open an account with an institution, be it a credit union or a bank, so that at least you keep on lodging in whatever money. So you develop a track record. So even when you go, and you don't go to the teller at the front, when you want to do business, you can ask, who's responsible for small business here? Who can I talk to? Because chances are, and what a lot of clients do is they just go to anybody at the bank and ask a question, and they're told whatever. So then they're discouraged because the customer service is bad. But guess what? The teller is really dealing with, ins and out, what you're doing in the transaction, but not dealing with that sort of business. So knowing who to go to is also very important. You have to speak to the manager. A lot of small businesses get intimidated when you hear, the manager of the bank or the manager of that department. But again, fear is something that actually keeps you back. There's nothing to be fearful about. They're human beings like you and I. And they had to go through whatever they had to go through to get there. So no one should be intimidated in going to approach the manager. No matter how he speaks, how he behaves, he's still a human being, and saying, listen, I'm starting a business. I have an idea. I need to talk to somebody to give me some guidance. And that comes to mentorship. In our society, getting the right set of mentors is very difficult. I wish we could have a call for mentors to help support a lot of businesses, because we're in it by ourselves. As you can, Chrisanda, Rodney can tell you, we get up and we go. But sometimes you experience a lot of setbacks or the normal failures, which are part of your business cycle, by the way. It's normal to go up and down. But sometimes you don't have that supporting environment, supporting network to tell you, hey, it's okay. I went through this before. Move ahead. Sometimes we're too fearful to share that kind of information. So it's important to know where to go, who to go, and I'm sure there are many institutions right now in St. Kitts that do help. You have ministries, departments that have youth entrepreneurship stuff. I think the youth department has a youth entrepreneurship council, so I think the advisors can actually advise youth on that. You have also a lot of youth entrepreneurs themselves who are doing the business. You should ask a question, well, how do you get to go there, and who do you go to? So knowing who to ask and when to ask is important. Not being intimidated by the people in the institutions. Sometimes because they wear a suit and they look prim and proper does not necessarily mean that you cannot approach them to speak to them, because they're human, right? They just have to do that because they're professional and their work requires them to be professional. So a lot of times, coming right back to fear is the number one factor. A lot of persons get distracted or do not go ahead to go and seek out financing because they're also unsure. It's fear and uncertainty. And the only way you can become certain is by doing some research as well. Friends, family, that's where it starts off. If you cannot convince your friends and your family, well, we have to work on our competencies. When you work on the competencies, then you start networking. You start going to events, meeting people, sharing your business card, finding out what they do. And by doing that, you're building business relationships. Those would become your net worth. Your network is your net worth, really.
And you went right where, I was heading to, because as we talk about mistakes before, about learning from your mistakes and getting sound outside counsel is a critical component to success. So good to hear that there are, some mentorship advice that's available, and I'm sure Civil would expand on that.
I would like to expand on that. I think it's important, and this is where it goes back to the culture. We do not have a culture of mentoring. Back in the old days, persons would tell you, well, you had apprentice system. And this apprenticeship really was a mentoring system. And persons would say, come lad, come, let me just show you how to be a tailor or a shoemaker. What has happened is, as we have moved now into what I call white collar jobs, persons are not recognizing the need to pay forward. Because listen, I came up through this and I had to do these struggles. I see a young guy out there who has started with all the drive and ambition. I don't want him to lose that. I don't want him to be turned off by some, walls he might find. Do I pay forward by really going and saying, listen, you don't know me, but I see you where I was 15 years ago. How do I reach out? Within the group of persons that we have been able to bring in as partners in the education program, we've been able to use those same persons as facilitators and as mentors, okay? And Rodney is one, and we've just roped in Telly, and we can call names of different persons in our grouping. We've been able to, but we need to do this en masse. It cannot be just a silo over here and a silo over there. And in our school system, we need to have business persons link back what they're doing in the business school to what's happening in job creation. So I'm going to school and I'm learning history. And I remember speaking to high school and saying, what about I'm leaving school and I create a scenario about taking persons on a tour, a history tour, through my country. Not a tour where I actually have to walk them through. It might not be that. It could be a tour where I'm talking to them about my country. Think about it. We go to Disneyland and they create a tour about a Pocahontas that never existed. I'm thinking if I create a tour about a rum shop tour, about what rum shops used to be back in the day, and I get 2 or 3 rum shops to partner with me and give me a feel of what it was in the 70s. Or if I want to create a tour about getting married by jumping the broom, I create a nice little dress or a national dress, or back then I have put on some different wedding gowns, you jump the broom, you pay me 40 US, I give you a nice little certificate, looking aged and stuff, and I create a whole story about jumping the broom. It could be real, it could be part real, it could be a mixture of reality of history and a little imagination. That's what innovation is coming. But when we're in our system of learning, we're not making that link. We're teaching history for history, but then what do you do with it after? We're teaching art for art, but what do you do with it after? And so there is where we need to link back to persons going into the schools and saying, okay, we're teaching this, but here are the direct career paths, because I am representing that. We have to challenge our persons, you know. So just to give you a little issue about the monkey business, because that's another passion that I know I'm going to get Telly and everybody here on the monkey business. Yes, the think tank.
Let me hear about this.
The monkey business. Right now. Yes, right now.
So it's your turn.
Right now, everybody is doing monkeys. You just put on a hamper on the monkey, and you go anyhow. Now, there needs to be some sort of industry with this, where the monkeys are certified healthy, that persons are taught how to care for the monkeys, how to train the monkeys, not pull out the monkeys' teeth so they don't bite, but train monkeys. So you need to know about a little veterinary stuff, and we can bring the veterinary school into that. You see how we're building partnerships?
Where's Peter when
and then wait now. Then my monkey is named, I'm going to give him my monkey's name Liamiga. Or I give him find a nice name. Find a name, okay. And I have a nice little T-shirt marked on, monkeying with. Give me a name. You know. Okay, so when you take a picture, now I'm not going to charge you $5 US. No, this is a real
premium service. Premium.
This has on a T-shirt mark on monkey business with so and so. Okay, when you take your picture, you get a little certificate to show that you have a picture with him. And then you can buy a T-shirt with my monkey on your T-shirt, and you create a whole industry. So now you link up and you have industries. We have to move. So those guys who are doing that little hustle, that's not entrepreneurship. That's a hustle. Now that's the basis that you can then move into an entrepreneurship issue, where you're developing it, you're nurturing it, you're growing it. And so, therefore, these are the type of conversations that persons need to have. We have T-shirt businesses. It's no different from the pet pig that's on Cockleshell Beach that's now passed on. There's a book about the pig. You had a T-shirt about the pig.
I know there was everything about
the pig. But I'm saying the monkeys were here before that pig. You know,
and there are more monkeys than pigs.
I mean, I can't come up with a name. I need some creative name.
But no one's taking the time to train the monkeys. In Indonesia, I've seen monkeys actually are the ones giving the customer the money and exchanging. They deliver the packages. They do deliveries, you know. So Amazon, that business,
and all
out the door.
But you see how a business idea is forming? You're a shareholder.
And all of this goes back, of course, to our growing the economy.
Exactly.
We're talking about tourism. Which is a big chunk of what we do right now. Okay, fine. I know that we can stay there on that one all night, but let's move on. Now, startups. We talked about that earlier. Of course, they require a combination of skills. Some of these skills are technical and
soft.
Some of them, well, of course, one of the most important part is marketing, and I know Rodney mentioned this earlier. How do I know what you guys are doing? How do I know? How do you market your stuff? And one further question for you to think about, do you market your business the same as your product or service?
Come on, Rodney.
From my standpoint, we thankfully, our business model is one primarily referral based, where we try to ensure that the network that we have established with current clients, current customers is strong enough, whereby I would say 80% of our new business coming in the door is by referrals. And that has worked well enough for us in terms of based on the resources we have available to deal with it. And the type of, cause we've done the advertising, the traditional method, TV, radio, we still do some stuff online, but there's nothing more convincing than a referral. Okay. So I know in O'Gara, and I believe O'Gara was willing, he said, hey, this is the water to check, this water is good. I will give it a chance, as opposed to just listening to it on the radio and saying, yeah, okay, whatever. So if you can get to the point where referrals don't happen immediately, you have to start developing your network, your reputation, etc. We establish it has some value. So in that, you can do a combination of things. Social media is now one of the most cost-effective ways of marketing your business. A lot of people have gravitated to social media. But there's still the traditional ways in terms of, I know you would appreciate radio and TV.
Of course we do.
So you could probably speak to that.
But internet as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Online as well.
Online, that is the reality. But you have to figure out who's your target market. Right? You don't just go and say, well, because I'm in business, I'm just going to go and put an ad on the radio.
Correct.
Is your market listening to this type of show, this type of station?
Or even this radio station.
Right.
Yes.
So you have to figure out
that particular.
Right. So you can't just go and just do a wide expanse. I mean, that's saying that you have money to waste, pretty much. So you do your research, you figure out who your market is, as Terry had mentioned in the beginning, understanding the profile of your target market, and then what, from an efficiency standpoint, which channels make sense for your business to advertise on?
Chrisanda, Go ahead, Chrisanda.
Facebook is my best friend.
Yeah, we know all about that.
I do most of my marketing on Facebook because old, young, everyone has a Facebook, right? So that's where I get majority of my sales. I also, you have to put in some money sometimes to get out. So there's actually an option on Facebook where when you have a business page that you can pay to get your ads promoted to a certain amount of people. So I use that often.
And then
yes, I get a lot of my customers from referrals, like you said. So you always have to be on top of your game, make sure your product is good. So you get plenty referrals. And another one is your business cards. Everywhere I go, I have them. I just be giving them out everywhere I go to sports. I give it out. So I leave my mark everywhere. So that works out for me. I guess everybody you have your market. For me, it's cakes. Who doesn't love cakes? So mine is wide, even for vegans, So everybody, I cater to everybody.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We're going to hear from our friends again at Brimstone Hill. And don't forget, we're going to take a break next week because it's Easter Monday. But the folks from Brimstone Hill are going to be here with us on the 13th of April for our next round table. When we come back, though, we're going to ask folks who've been listening or watching to join us by calling us at 466-2666. If you have any questions, ideas, suggestions for the guests that we have here tonight, we'll appreciate it. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Explore the history of St. Kitts with a visit to the Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park. This 42-acre complex of fortifications has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Upon entering the fortress, you can choose to visit the gift shop and orientation center, where you can purchase unique, high-quality items at duty-free prices. Or you can look in on the Fort George Museum, which boasts a collection of military and other exhibits unrivaled in the Eastern Caribbean. The breathtaking view of Brimstone Hill includes the mountain range and a view of several other islands on a clear day and of the sandy point bay that the fortress once defended. Visit us and really experience the history of St. Kitts. This venue will also lend an indescribable ambience to your wedding or banquet.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Can't improvise cause there's so much inside. Fashion with style, word on the street will make you smile. People show youth awareness, interest in the fashion closet, and many more that you cannot resist. For young and old, it's not my show, that's how we roll. The People Show. Now everybody tune in on time on Wednesdays at 9.
Want to get the latest news and information on demand? Check out zizonline.com. Our website is updated daily to bring you all the latest local, regional, and international news. Gone abroad and miss home? Check out zizonline.com for our live streams and uploaded local content. We're also on Facebook. Like our page and receive photos, info, and updates directly on your newsfeed. Living on the go? Then our new mobile website can work for you. Visit zizonline.com and get all the information you need on your phone's browser. zizonline.com, reaching you wherever you are.
Explore the history of St. Kitts with a visit to the Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park. This 42-acre complex of fortifications has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Upon entering the fortress, you can choose to visit the gift shop and orientation center, where you can purchase unique, high-quality items at duty-free prices. Or you can look in on the Fort George Museum, which boasts a collection of military and other exhibits unrivaled in the Eastern Caribbean. The breathtaking view of Brimstone Hill includes the mountain range and a view of several other islands on a clear day, and of the sandy point bay that the fortress once defended. Visit us and really experience the history of St. Kitts. This venue will also lend an indescribable ambience to your wedding or banquet.
Some call it money transfer. We call it helping him hit his first ever six. MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
Want to get the latest news and information on demand? Check out zizonline.com. Our website is updated daily to bring you all the latest local, regional, and international news. Gone abroad and miss home? Check out zizonline.com for our live streams and uploaded local content. We're also on Facebook. Like our page and receive photos, info, and updates directly on your newsfeed. Living on the go? Then our new mobile website can work for you. Visit zizonline.com and get all the information you need on your phone's browser. zizonline.com.
Okay, so welcome back. Welcome back. We were talking about marketing, and we were also encouraging our callers to call in. We do have a call on the line, so we're going to go ahead and take the call so we can get them in and try to finish up for the last half an hour. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the round table.
Good evening. How are you?
Doing fine.
Okay, this is Carla Astafan calling.
Hi, Carla.
I've been listening, and I'm finding it quite interesting. I myself have been an entrepreneur for a number of years now, having as a potter primarily, and the challenges that one faces, like for instance, right now I am faced with having. Hold on a second, my daughter is tuning up the TV. Sorry. Yes, so I'm faced with some challenges. Having been doing pottery for a number of years, I had some mishaps this year. And what I found, like today, I finally got back to making work again. But it was hard because I think within me now there's a fear that it would happen again, you know. So even after so many years, you constantly have to challenge yourself. You have to push yourself to actually do it, like Sybil was saying earlier. So it's not, for an entrepreneur, it's not as easy. For someone who's making stuff, it's not as easy. And a lot of times, I think that is what it is for those who end up buying what other people, like for instance, in the craft market, for instance. And a lot of people you find are buying from, whether it's from overseas or from the Indians, to resell stuff, as opposed to seeing what we can do with the local things that we have, whether it's calabash, whether it's bamboo. We have bits of wood, like you're talking about the grasses. We have had the sugar cane and all of that. What can look around and see how we can use the stuff that we have, and it's not the easiest thing to do. So I guess at the end of the day, buying to resell and doing that kind of hustle is a lot easier. So I'm just saying, while it is, we want to promote it, we really have to understand that for an entrepreneur, it's not the easiest thing to be. It's not the easiest choice to make, to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm.
All right, Carla. Well, thank you very much for your contribution. Of course, she raised the the idea that we went over earlier, the fear of failure, even after you've been in the business for such a long time. Again, our number is 466-2666. So if you want to give us a call, you can join us on the round table for the listeners to 96.1 FM. Of course, your customer calling 465-2555, but we're in TV tonight, so you'd have to call us at 466-2666. Any thoughts on the fear of failure? And this is, as I said, she's been in business for quite a while, so this doesn't just happen when you're thinking about going into business, but also, when you're already established. Go ahead, Rodney. We'll go to you and then Telly on this one.
I liken business to walking on a tightrope. Mm-hmm. The main difference between the region, the Caribbean, locally St. Kitts Nevis, and maybe some place like United States, is that we're all, as business persons, as entrepreneurs, we're walking on this tightrope. The concept and the environment in the United States, generally, you're walking on a tightrope and you have a net below you. Uh-huh. And you generally may have persons say, man, you can go up higher. Go, ain't no problem. Take it up higher. Uh-huh. So you have that support. Locally, regionally, you're on the tightrope. Maybe you have a net, but the net has some serious holes in it. And even worse, there's some major cashew trees underneath the net. Wow. So, and to add to that, when you try to go high, people say, "Why are you going so high for? Come down. You're going to fall." So we have that environment that we're contending with as entrepreneurs. We're walking this tightrope. It's nothing new being in business. As Carla mentioned, no matter how long, there's always the potential you slip a little bit and you have to pull yourself back up. But we have to figure out how we can ensure that we have a safety net of some sort. And not to say because there's a net you're going to go and be reckless, but at least you know there's some support system. So you can go and you can be a little bit more confident in applying yourself across the tightrope.
Yeah, because it's okay, I think, to make a bad investment. I mean, it's not okay to make the same mistake over and over again. Right. Tell you the fear of failure.
Fear of failure. And just touching on what Rodney basically spoke about, the safety net, and knowing that when you're doing a particular business or have a particular product, there are other, should I say, similar businesses within the field maybe that you could partner with. Like, for example, if we're looking at the example of Carla Estefan and what she does with pottery and art and so on, there are many strategic alliances that she could partner with in order to get her product out there.
I'm going to have you hold that thought for a minute.
Another call?
Yes, we do have some other callers trying to get in. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the round table.
Hello, how are you?
Doing fine.
Okay, that's good. My name is Nathaniel Ivel. I'm actually just recently moved here about a year or two ago full-time. And one of the challenges an entrepreneur like myself is facing is getting to know the lay of the land, so to speak. A bit of a culture shock coming back, the various techniques that I've learned abroad, trying to implement them here. I'm having difficulties doing that. How would you be able to make suggestions for someone like myself?
All right, well, thanks for your question. What we'll do is we'll address your question if you want to listen off here.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Another
So,
caller?
know the lay of the land, and I mean,
I think it's what we've been talking about in terms of networking and relationship building. It is so important if you are returning here, or even if you're here and you've had a part where you had a mishap, it really sort of pushed you back. You have to be able to build a set of people around you, those persons who I call props. And we have them in our work life, whether we're working for someone or we're working for ourselves. When we hit a wall, where do we go to prop ourselves back? When we're going through an idea, are we going it alone, or do we have what we call those persons around us, whether we call them free consultants, whether we call them peers in this together, whatever. We have to be able to understand the importance of having that sort, what I call a de facto board. If you are an entrepreneur, or you need to have that group of persons you put together, just like how a large company will have a board. And sometimes it might be 2 or 3 persons who will not tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. It is those sort of structures that we have to build around when we're in business. And so it's important to think about that. Who do I go to, who I know? This person, when I look at them, they always seem to forge ahead no matter what. They're always pursuing something new to rebrand, to add value to their product and service, to stay relevant, to stay on top of it. And even those persons who I know have failed, when I see them come back and I'm surprised, and I'm saying, well, how did they do it? Everything was against them to stay down, and yet they're back up. How do I touch base with them and say, listen, I want to have a talk with you. Can we go out and just have a drink together? I really want to get someone to feed into my spirit so that I can be out there. And I think that is important, which is why we spoke about communication and relationship skills. Even if we think we're shy, find a way to get out there. Ask somebody for help.
All right. Just before you come in, I want to make sure that the callers know that we're still open to take their calls. 466-2666 is the number. If you have any ideas, suggestions, or questions, we'll take them from you. Go ahead, Telly.
One of the things I think we have mentioned already, business modeling and business models. That's really the logic. That's how you create value in your business. And one of the key aspects of any business model are your key partners. You all need strategic partners, be it your customers who are partners in a sense, and you have to build relationships with your partners, or you have partners that you need in order to deliver whatever resource. If you're into pottery, you might have a partner who delivers the earth that you use for pottery, or the paint. Those are key partners. Without them, you cannot transform whatever product or service. You might have other partners. If you're delivering services, you might decide to be creative and think about service partners. And I think that's where a lot of us need to get to, the point of service partners. I've seen a lot of tours and tour operations and so on, but I've never seen a particular, say, product or a particular person with a particular type of product link into those tours to say, okay, part of your tours, and when you're costing your tours, my key holder only costs $4 or $5. Why don't you cost it as part of your tour so I get my product out there? Within the product being out there, I have material giving a story about the product with a history. People like that. So we have to start looking at the marketing side, the branding as well. especially if you're looking at Carla's area when you're dealing with indigenous art. We have to start thinking together and holistically at a brand. And I think now one would actually look and start to wonder, how come the artisans themselves or the jewelers themselves have not formed themselves into groups or associations where they can actually create one singular brand with a brand message, as what Rodney had mentioned. Your message is important. That can actually speak to a lot of the indigenous elements of your product, which is what really is attractive about the products you're selling, and it makes you different from whatever comes in from India or China or wherever that just has Sinkit slapped on.
I know.
That makes the difference. And sometimes it might not necessarily be you, the individual, but forming a group collectively. So when Rodney speaks about, yes, you partner with your competitors, there might be competitors, but then together we're actually into what we call competition, where it is a type of cooperative competition that needs to happen. And that's the kind of conversation I think one can challenge the industry and the sectors, you know.
All right, so we got another call on the line. Good
Hi.
evening, caller. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Kelly, for the way in which you answered there.
Thank you.
The advice given. But I do recall you, I think, at a workshop some years back.
Yes.
Where there was a thrust throughout the region where they wanted to do a rebranding of carbon products, handmade. I can't remember whether you were there, design carbon, something that was going to differentiate what is made locally within all of the islands, to sort of give an authentic brand. But of course that has gone by the wayside because whoever the consultant was would have moved on, and so that is the sort of thing that happens, you know, with us. So we attend these things, and then there's all this energy, and then it goes away. So how would we restart? Because that is still something that is very necessary. Just last week, in a meeting with our new Minister of Tourism and his stakeholders, I brought that up because we can't be stuck among all of what is being, you know, what is made outside of the island, you know, with what is indigenous and what is being made here. So there's, the PS actually welcomed that idea of, you know, an authentic brand. And it's something that has to go on not only here, but throughout the region.
Carla, you point out a very, very important aspect where I think we have to, together with all the stakeholders nationally, take it upon ourselves. Rebranding and branding is a strategy that really needs to happen. Sometimes we wait on other people to, should I say, start the initiatives or at least give us guidance. But I think nationally, when we recognize this is affecting business and this is affecting the economy and the creative services industry on a whole, I think that initiative you started with actually talking to the ministry, and then probably the next stage would be gathering all the stakeholders to kind of raise awareness that this is bigger than just us selling our individual products, that in doing something that is authentic and indigenous, that we can actually move a lot more products.
All right, thanks again, I'm Telly. Okay, so we got another. All right, can you just step away from the television or your radio? Good evening, caller.
Hello, good night.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yes, I do appreciate what you all have to offer tonight.
Thank you.
It is very important that you do so because there are a lot of people with business ideas and who will want to have the country move forward with their creative ideas that will more or less become a business. Now, with these ideas that certain people might have, right? Yes, we all come up with ideas, right? But it's to get them out there. Like one will have to think of something and bring that image to life. How do we bring that image to life? We have to have plans or a plan and then strategize in different forms. You understand? And after that, we'll have to look at the finances. Okay? And then after the finances are there, then we think about marketing it out there for the consumers to see what we have to offer. Okay? It's like you want to, have a book. Okay, put a book out there. Well, first of all, you have to have an audience. Think of your business idea as something you want everybody to know about. You have to put your business idea to a particular audience, okay, or to a particular consumer, okay, or consumers. Now, in order to do that, there are many patterns you have to go through until you have all of that in one place, right? Then you seek for help in order to bring that to the attention of the financial officers. And if they see that is fit, right, and they give you the okay, then you may ask family for help to bring that business to life. And one will think of the location. That is one important key. You can't have your business all over. Okay, I want to put it all over Saddlers and expect that your audience will, oh my God, it's already over Saddlers. I wouldn't drive all the way over there. There must be a central location where everybody can go, find easy access to. Okay, I think I might miss out one thing. Advertisement is key. You know, that is linked to marketing. It's very important to a small business as well. Okay, a small business idea, for example, one wouldn't see it as something very important. But if we are in the era of tourism, we have our young people in St. Kitts and Nevis that love to dance. They love to do the arts, dancing, singing, and what have you. We look for areas where there's cinemas, like auditorium, where they can go and display these things. You know, you set up big theaters for them to go and auction themselves, to show the world what they have. And there you go, you can get it internationally. You know, that's another way to put, you know, our young people on the map, think it as well on a whole. Okay, that is all I have to say. But the key thing is marketing your product. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your call. Some good ideas, good solid ideas. In terms of, you know, moving your product from one place to the next. Product or service, I should say, because we do have service providers as well here. So we're going to take a few more calls. So if you want to join us, it's 466-2666. Sybil, we're going to go to you for, you know, your ideas and some of the things that the callers have brought up so far.
I noticed that persons highlighted the issue.
Sybil, I hate to stop you, but
they have a call.
you're at the very beginning of it, so we'll catch all of it when we get back. But we'll take this call. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Frank Gordon Jr., and I have a few contributions to make.
Yes.
Well, in encouraging local entrepreneurship, one, I think the advertising rates are very much too high. I knew Mr. Algarve has spoken about this in the past. Only certain businesses can afford to advertise. As well as that, Digicel, Lime, TDC. What happens to these local men with a small idea to make an invention? How can they afford to advertise and with $3,000 and $4,000 a month? Come on, man. That's one thing. And next thing is the government policy. It needs to change. The cruise ship comes here with think that's 1 million people now. And the Indians have the first crack of that. Both sides at the strip. And then you have the locals just chucking in the craft market. Where the locals in the big parking lots have first preference with the locally made stuff. And then the Indians get second preference. That's one thing. You seem like the Indians are Chinese are taking over the whole of 4th Street, the whole of St. Kitts. Government policy has to come in and spur some creativity and initiate it. Okay, thank you, brother.
All right, thank you very much. And just to let you know, we do have rates at ZIZ that are and packages that encourage small businesses all the time. We've moved with the times, so we're very, very, very creative. And just to prove my point, you can advertise on the CPL, which is the premier sporting event in the Caribbean, for as low as $351. Well, since it's our station,
yes, you might as well.
I might as well give up myself a plug. Go ahead, I'm civil.
Frank is one of
Frank, thanks for the call. Yes.
He's also an alumni.
And we've spoken about this before, so,
I think that it's important, while we're not going to downplay the challenges, for persons to look for opportunities and really to look at solutions. Sometimes it's easier for us as humans, no matter what business we're in, to just lay the problems on the table. But it's important to identify the problems, but also identify the solutions. I think that is important for persons. One of the problems that was identified was financing. And while we're not going to minimize the impact of financing and the challenges of getting to a financial institution to really finance a small business loan, particularly for new businesses, because that carries its own sense of risk, and particularly, as was identified, most startups don't have a track record, so the banks can look at the history, because part of what banks have to do in evaluating risk is really to look at that risk credit profile. History, the cash flow of the business. Now, if you don't have any business, then you don't have a cash flow. So all you're really having is projections. But the important aspect is to look at so many ways of raising startup capital. Think about it. When we're going to school and the school wants to raise funds, it takes a walk and it gives children a walk, and they go along with a walkathon sheet. And it's amazing how those children, with just a $5 here, a $10 here, each one, you have children sometimes who bring in up to $800. And the biggest line item on their sponsorship sheet is $10. And so we have to think about this. I mean, when you hear sites like GoFundMe.com and all of these, they have used those basic, simple strategies. And what we have to recognize, keep it simple, and I like to say keep it simple, Sybil, the S. But we have to recognize...
Sounds like something to come.
We have to recognize that the simple fundamentals of business, they are ageless. And so sometimes we are looking for this big loan without recognizing that one fill basket, and we have to use our creative energies and our thoughts, our thinking, to really spur alternative ways. Okay, I'm having a struggle raising the finance this way. I'm having a struggle raising the finance that way. How can I put my thinking together? How can I bounce heads with persons who may be able, sometimes you have a thought, but once you rub it against somebody else, it catapults into a more valuable thought.
Sound idea.
But what about the thought, though, that you get sometimes where people are fearful of, exposing their idea because of, plagiarism?
I said every idea that we think of,
someone has thought it.
It's on the internet.
It's on there.
Okay.
But it's not the idea that gives you that competitive advantage. It's the implementation.
Of course.
So there's no, I don't like to say there's no new idea under the sun, but there really isn't. It's really how you tweak that idea.
Correct.
and how you implement it. That makes a difference.
I think
that implementation is what is called innovation,
Yes.
which people sometimes use the terms, but that is innovation.
That's innovation.
Exactly.
It's not just the idea, because you can look up ideas. Someone will say, oh, you stole my idea, but when you searched it online, 50, 60 people had ideas.
If you look at
but when you start adding those
bplans.com,
things,
go on bplans.com and you will see for
All
every
the
idea
ideas.
you put in, there are actually business plans, hundreds of business plans for that idea. But guess what? That business plan is for an environment that might be different to yours. So you can't just pull that business idea, that business plan. Now you can use it as a guide and then customize it within the context of your environment. But bplans.com, Google it, it's free. You get thousands of business plans.
And just as you're saying, I mean, I went to a workshop the other day on copyright and publishing of not only just songs. I think when people think about publishing, they're thinking about maybe just lyrics or whatever it is, but it's ideas, it's anything. And as one of the instructors were pretty much saying, it's that, hey, listen, I mean, you know, everybody can go and paint a picture of let's stick to the Blue Sea for the sake of tonight. Everybody can paint a picture of the Blue Sea. It's the creativity that you as the individual author puts behind it. And I know I said author, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
You know,
the designer.
Correct. I mean, you know, that's where, that to me is where success or failure lies. Because if everybody's going to sell me saltfish and Johnny cakes, I mean, you know, on a Saturday morning, you know, come on.
My Johnny cakes are having carrots. That's my differentiation.
You get a free drink.
There you go. So
My Johnny cakes will come with the impeccable customer relationship management.
Okay.
You always want to come to buy my Johnny cakes.
In tech, there's this new, well, not new, but there's this terminology going around a lot right now in tech called being disruptive. Where you will have a certain business model that most businesses are following. Somebody jumps in. Usually, you find a lot of internet-based companies coming into the marketplace being disruptive. They're not using the same structure that a brick and mortar business, that would have been established. You have a number of them out there right now.
Crowdfunding is one that disrupts the financial issues
of course.
Venture capitalists. It is disruptive.
Definitely. This one Uber is very popular.
Oh yes, I was going to say this Uber hasn't come here, and I'm sure the taxi associations would leap and scream if Uber comes here, but it's disruptive.
It's disruptive, and it is where you can't. The lesson is that you can't become too comfortable and expect that things are just going to be worked out always. You have to almost be your own disruptor. So you try to figure out how it is that what can possibly impact my business or the marketplace, and you try to see if you can counter that at some point. Apple is notorious for almost cannibalizing its own products. Where before some other competitor may come up with something that could disrupt them,
they disrupt
themselves. And they're notorious for doing that.
But I mean that is true though. If you're not, as an entrepreneur, if you're not the competition, if you're not the competition that you expect, then I mean, you know, you may not necessarily be successful. You have to be, I mean, you know, when I say be the competitor, of course, you want to think, you know what, okay, so what would my competitor do? And how do I counter, you know, what they're doing? Because that's what it's going to end up to be. We have a few more minutes still, so if we, you know, if you have anything that you want to say, and this is for the callers, you can call us at 466-2666. Probably take one or two more calls because, I mean, you know, I guess we thought that this 2 hour was going to take forever, but we're 10 minutes away from time. And I know maybe we haven't heard the word economy a lot tonight. But I think, and I don't know if de facto is a good word, but I think that everything that we've said tonight, I mean, you know, affects our economy in some way or other, because businesses, of course, like yours, Rodney, and Chrysanda as well. I'm sure with the business improving, you're going to now start
more investments.
More investment. You're
More
going to
job
hire
creation.
people. And they're, the economy starts.
Well, a small word for the economy, I always tell persons, is jobs. A small word for economic growth is jobs, because when an economy grows, it means you're expanding your productive capacity, and so therefore you're hiring more people, and that's really that hiring creates now more disposable income. That disposable income now creates other jobs.
Correct.
I might have been, now I'm working, so I might not now can hire a gardener because I'm getting more money, so that creates. So it's it creates this sort of
cascading effect.
Okay.
And so that's really important.
I was just about to say, not trickle down.
No, I don't want to trickle down. No.
But then it's just
we do have another call. We encourage them to call. So, caller, go ahead. Thanks for calling the round table.
Good evening. I find the round table to be very interesting.
Thank you.
And I look forward to looking at the round table. However, I heard Ms. Welsh give a website earlier where you can find even so business proposals, business plans, and so I would like a repeat of the website.
It's the letter B, plans.com. I want to make a disclaimer. I'm not telling you to go on there and wholesale copy a plan. What we're saying to persons is, like in anything, you want to see what is out there. You want to see how people structure plans. And so basically, this is part of your learning, your knowledge enhancement. So you go online, and if you're looking for a business, let us say technology or give any business, you put it in, and it will tell you in this particular industry, there are 50 plans, and it will give you them in segments. It could be this business related to that type. So it might be how to open a coffee shop, or it might be coffee processing, or it might be doing your own coffee ice cream. And so you go down, you select one. Now, they're going to give you a fictional business plan for a fictional market. So that market might have 50,000 persons who are customers. Now, we know St. Kitts, our market size is not that. So we can't just wholesale. But what it does, it shows you a systematic way of analyzing your competition, analyzing your opportunities, analyzing your threats. So we're looking at your SWOT, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Then it looks at the financial data. How do you present financial data? How do you look at, let's say, the best case scenario, it will be successful. The worst case scenario, because sometimes we go in only thinking blue sky, everything is going to go perfect. And really we have to recognize the what if. What if I expected to have 4 boats come every Tuesday and Wednesday for November to March, and then something disruptive happens? You see what's going on in the news.
Yes, exactly.
People get scared of traveling because you're having crazy pilots. And then, what if? And so, therefore, you have to always put a buffer into your business plan to take cognizant of when things don't go as planned. Can your business survive both in the good times and in the bad times? I just saw a quote from Mark Cuban, and he says, really, the best time to start a business is in a downturn. Because if you can start and manage a business and keep it afloat in the bad times, imagine what will happen in the good times. I think there's this saying that says a tide keeps up all boats, a rising tide. But guess what happens when the tide is no longer? It exposes all the bottoms of the boats that are holy and not too sound. So I think that's the issue. Is it comes with a disclaimer that it's a knowledge tool, but it's not a tool that you're going to wholesale copy, because it will not apply to your environment.
Yeah. And talking about Mark Cuban, I mean, he's so right, because he took the Dallas Mavericks when they were probably at the bottom of the scale and took them all the way to the top in 2011. I had the opportunity of living in the city when they won the basketball championship. So, I mean, he must know what he's talking about. Okay, so we got a couple more minutes to go. What we're going to do is we're going to go around the table, and we're going to start with cupcakes. We're going to start with Chrysanda. We're going to go around the table and kind of, wrap it up tonight, kind of tie it in. I know we've talked about how entrepreneurship can stimulate our economy. And we've seen with the ideas that we've discussed tonight, I mean, there's so much that it has that has to do with our economy. So, Chrysanda.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say, if there are any young persons out there who have thoughts in their head but don't know how to act on them, you can always contact me. I'll be willing to help you with that. But I wanted to touch on, a while back, it has passed, parents and teachers, when you guys were talking about communication. The day my mother stopped making my doctor appointments was the day I became a woman. Right? So when we were talking about being intimidated by going into the bank, it starts really with your parents and the teachers. When I had my oral exam and I had to stand there and look Mrs. Morton in her face and do it, this really builds your character as a person. When my mom said, nope, I'm not doing it, I had to do it myself. So I just want the parents and the teachers and all the mentors to take this into consideration. I also would like to have a seminar put together with professionals who have had some failure, so they can say that they fail, because everybody thinks it's all good, like we discussed as well. And I think it would be interesting for people to see, oh, look at this big, and this is what he went through. So guys, I really want us to do that. Have a seminar, have everybody come out and touch on that, the failing aspect of it. That's it for me.
All right, well, thank you very much, Chrysanda. If anybody didn't know, you know they do. And so, of course, you can get the best cupcakes.
Bloom
Cupcakes. All right.
On Facebook. Bloom Cupcakes.
So you didn't bring any bouquets?
No.
Next time.
No bouquets. Surprise.
Okay, Rodney.
Well, thank you very much, Ogaro, Sybil, for sending out the invite to me to be here tonight. Just to kind of continue where Chrysanda left off, I have a quote here from Thomas Edison, where he was interviewed and he was asked, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? Because he failed 1,000 times trying to invent the light bulb. And his reply was, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. And failure in business should not be seen as the end of the road, but as a temporary setback on a bigger, more significant course. So we have to own failure, accept that it is possible in business, that it's somewhat of an acceptable occurrence. It's not something you go looking for, but if it happens, you have to prepare yourself for it as much as possible. And I would really like to see our environment evolve and mature to a stage where failure doesn't mean the end of any business, or you're shunned into a corner because people figure, well, okay, you can't do anything, so go and do something more simple, or go and look a job. We have to really develop our environment where we have a lot more support around. We have that safety net below the tight wire, so that we can capture people who fall off and not have them just languish on the ground, but have the ability to, the will to pick themselves up and take another crack at it. So that is what I would really like to see happening in our societies, in our region. I think would only go well for the future of the economy and the advancement of the economy overall. So again, thank you.
All right, thanks, Rodney, for joining us and giving us all the information that we think can help and encourage a few more entrepreneurs out there. Telly, we're going to move on to you.
Okay. Well, first, thank you for having me at this session this evening. Thank you, Sybil, as usual. We're always doing stuff together. I think the takeaway for me really is to encourage both existing and potential and aspiring. So you could be in school and think about, maybe I want to do this, to really take the time and start building those relationships and partnerships, because that is what, for me, is your network would be your net worth. And I think that's what you can fall back on in terms of having that safety net, and also tap in for support. Again, we talk about friends, family, for bootstrapping and finance. Again, it works that way. Even when you go to these new sites like crowdfunding, they always would say, well, you start with your own network and you put on your own network. If they can contribute, other people will see that and start contributing and donating. So that's important. And that being said, there's a saying that people will say sometimes, a partnership is a leaky ship. Well, it's like any other relationship. That's the Trinidad or down in Simmons, so we say that. But not in every relationship, you have good and bad. You might enter a relationship with a strategic partner and it goes sour. That does not mean, and just like failure, it doesn't mean you're never going to do it again and you're going it alone. Because believe it or not, when you're doing business alone, you're only going to remain small. If you're thinking about growing your business and being long-term, then you have to start thinking about partnering. So this is important. So like a relationship, like a good marriage, you have to identify your partner.
All right, thank you, Telly. I see my producers are wrapping me up over there. So yes, we'll get off pretty soon. Just as long as we hear from Sybil, we have no choice but to hear from Sybil.
It's putting me in the hot seat. I really enjoy the program. As usual, it really underscores the importance of partnership and network. We can just call up ZIZ and we can say to Mr. O'Gara, listen, we're looking for a partnership. We just say partnership with an accent. It works. So Gordon, you need to get an accent for partnership. But it really shows how we can really bring this group of persons together to share experiences, information, and knowledge. And it underscores a quote that I got from Van Gogh that says, great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. On that, here's the challenge. Let us all think about what small things we can do that create great things by bringing them together. The challenges in our governments, the challenges in our school, our academia, our churches, the challenges in the private and public sector. For those who are leaders, lead by paying forward. Mentor someone, check with someone, coach someone. The challenge is also for micro businesses and small businesses, not just to do business by hustle, but really to do business by excellence. Look to see how I can raise the bar on my craft. When I'm dressing, do I look like I'm in business or I'm in a hustle? Do I study my craft? Do I look to see what is internationally done and see how I can raise it? Local products, those we have to go back and ask ourselves, Telly said, create a story. How do we make the product more than just the bamboo or the clay? But we look at what is intrinsic in that artwork that then commands greater value than something that just says made in China, which is not related. So don't take the words out of it can't be done. If you're going to any business or you're working in a business, forget about it can't be done, and your mantra must be, there must be a way, and I will find that way. Let's be problem solvers, let's be solution oriented, and let's stop just bemoaning what isn't, and let's focus on what can be, based on what we decide we are going to be part of that can be, can do it. Just like Nike says, just do it.
All right, one more thing from you, Telly, before I do my wrap.
Really quickly, Quintessence is currently contracted to do a creative services sector survey. So we're focusing on 7 sectors. That will include people who are involved in jewelry, our painters, our lovely artisans that you do lovely crafts, the musicians, both those who record music and those who actually do live performances. I'm going to be badgering you in the next 2 weeks to ask you to please fill out the survey so that we can actually design a strategy for you to export. Yes, give me a call, 660-0535 or 762-2058. You can WhatsApp me, or you can find me on Facebook as usual. Just look for Telly, Onu, O-N-U, Telly, and I'm on LinkedIn. I do get a lot of business in LinkedIn. So social media, yes. Twitter, my Twitter handle is TEVAL. I do get business on Twitter too.
And can I just remind the public that we are still taking applications, registrations for the Savings and Investment course, the ECCB Savings and Investment course, done in partnership with the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College and the University of the West Indies Open Campus. So please check out the University of the West Indies and register. This is one course, I'm telling you, that will make a difference in your life.
Okay, and before I get chased out of the building by my producers, my takeaway is that entrepreneurs must constantly ask themselves the tough questions about where they want to go, what it takes to get there, and how to get there successfully. We now know, based on our program tonight, that entrepreneurship drives energy, innovation, and opportunity into our economy. And the more entrepreneurs starting and building businesses, the more they will fuel our economic engine and drive economic activity. That's our program for tonight. Have a blessed Easter. We'll see you in 2 weeks when we chat with the folks of the Brimstone Hill Society. Again, we want to say thanks to them for powering the round table for another night. Thank you.
Hail, I love I, come to Builders Paradise. Hail, I love I, number one in product, service, and price. Better prices.
Bull Bond and SGM bonding agents start at $22.23. A wide variety of glass blocks are just $23.81 each. Hot water heaters, both tank and tankless, start as low as $9.90.29. Granite and porcelain vanity tops in various sizes begin at $205.90. Kitchen and bathroom faucets, $34.07. A wide selection of galvanized and PVC plumbing fittings and pipes in stock. Don't forget to collect your PVC cement for your PVC pipes and fittings.
Lumber, plywood, plumbing, and hardware. All things for tiling. Builders Paradise, where island dreams begin.
At a better price.
At Builders Paradise, we are proud to sing.
Prompt and free delivery, all you do just tell us where. All to show that Builders Paradise cares.